Well, I was just saying, open it because you said open your thing. It's very, 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 very unspecific.
Yeah.
Yes.
Y'all,
Yeah.
y'all will
Beware
Well,
of
never know.
you'll never.
Y'all, y'all will never know what the context of that is, because reasons.
It's pretty deep stuff. Let's see.
yeah.
You know, just open it up. You can go first, and then
Okay. Let's see. I can read that. I also need to grab my water. Ugh. And not choke on it. It would not be good for me to choke on it right now. Of course. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Sometimes one thinks one's jinxed. Okay. 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 Da 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 da. Okay. Maybe this section will do. This is a later section of the same chapter I did last week. I think this is the one where they're going to meet the guy. Let's see. Yeah, this is the one where they meet the guy. Assuming I can read that far. Let's see. Meanwhile, Barama received much of his training by squiring for his elder brother, Umana, who, if their parents weren't around, would try to force Barama to lose their practice jewels. Hey, sister, what sex are you? Was one of the kinder comments directed by Umara at his younger brother. His brother's taunts merely spurred Barama on to greater efforts. One day I will beat him, and then perhaps the estate will go to me, even though he's older. But even if it doesn't, it'll be worth it just to show him who I am. Gone were the days when he was willing to tell his parents when Umana bullied him. Now he considered asking the help of a grown up to be beneath his dignity. And when he spoke to his mother, he stoutly, or stubbornly, insisted that nothing was wrong. Were you injured in the fighting, fair son? She might ask. She had begun addressing him more formally after he reached the age of 15. Not to speak of, gracious mother, he would reply. No more than can be expected when men fight. I wish you would not fight, she would say. It is necessary, insisted Barama. Every nobleman must know how to fight, unless they intend to enter the priesthood, and even then it is useful. And I have perhaps greater need than most. A sword hangs over my head, and has done so ever since I returned from court. I know, said Umini, but I do not like it. Come on, don't do that. Barama also trained with the master of arms Zimburu, who was less of a bully and who anyway did not much like Umara, who he described as having more arrogance than skill. Umara, in turn, called Zimburu a has been gully boy pedant when he was being polite. He thought that being in the army meant he didn't need a master of arms. Never mind that most of his active duty was spent harassing unarmed peasants. Most of his duty wasn't active anyway, and was taken up with wine, women, and waka'a. Despite which is a kind of drug, despite which Umara had a high opinion of himself, and viewed the rest of the family as a lot of semi-loyal killjoy boors. Baba, the slave spy whom the emperor had given to Garawada, naturally gravitated to Umara as a likely collaborator and encouraged him in his attitude. Great one, strong and wise. Fall the weak and stupid. Great one deserve more power. We're good bordello around here. Barama took his training rather more seriously than his elder brother. He had been waiting for 3 years after receiving his sword Chakarea, or Strike Falsehood, for an opportunity to use it. The sword was of the stiff Sanduranian variety, with a silver sheen and a hilt carved in the shape of 2 antelope heads. The scabbard had the family motto, Jumbral Jumnai, faithful to the truth, sewn in gold thread. Barama loved it. Barama also spent a fair bit of time in the library reading up on dueling techniques, and then practiced with Imburu in order to perfect them before trying them out on Umara. As the months and years passed, Umara ceased to be Barama's better in arms, as he had been and still believed himself to be. This was just as well, since relations between the brothers did not improve in the years after Barama's return. Umara always maintained that Barama was stupid not to accept the invitation to go to court, even if it meant joining the Barusa. It isn't as though you were good for any much else, he sneered. I don't know why he's talking Cockney, but whatever. He brought up the Barusa at every possible opportunity, and gleefully used it to impugn Barama's manhood, all the more as Barama's swordplay improved. Barama was too proud to confess to Umara that the very thought of the court made him queasy. But his brothers seemed to have guessed it anyway, and to relish it. Umara liked to fancy himself a paragon of virility, a pretension that made the master at arms Imburu snort. "Come on, you little Achu young," said Umara at one of their sessions in the tilting yard to the north of the castle. Barama was mildly impressed that his brother had even heard of the Achu, a gliding monotreme found in the forested regions far to the south. "You're going to have to fight off the rest of the Barusa for the Emperor's attentions, you know." Juvenile laughter. He aimed a blow at Barama, who nimbly sidestepped it. "At least I can read above the level of a 5-year-old. Well, law-dee-daw. Now let's see if your precious books help you against this." And he lunged with his sword, but Barama was ready, and using an incredibly subtle feinting technique, knocked the sword right out of Umara's hand. "You cheater," said Umara, picking up his sword and glaring furiously at Barama. "I read about it in a book," said Barama modestly. He didn't add that he had been practicing the maneuver with Imburu for the last month. "You're still only good for the Barusa. Perhaps they'll make you a eunuch. It wouldn't be that much of a change. Or anyway, something that doesn't require fighting. Anyone can hit dumb luck, but you're too stupid to make friends at court." Barama didn't deign to reply. Luckily, it was time for Barama to study Turanian versification, so off he went and spent the next hour trying to put the Turanian for "my brother Umara is an idiot" into the Uchandra Jusamama meter. That night, Barama went out riding on moonlight. Of late, he had felt restless at nighttime, and the world seemed more interesting and fuller of possibilities under the moon and the stars. Partly out of curiosity, partly in order to distract himself from thoughts about court and the Barusa, he developed an interest in astronomy and liked to see how many stars and planets he could recognize. The answer was not very many, but he went out to look anyway. "Maybe when I've learnt the stars, I'll see if I can remember the bird calls. All right, that uia'e thing is a monkey, not a bird, and that is a mountain hawk, but..." At this point, he reached the eastern gate, and after the guards had waved him through, he walked a little ways into the eastern wood. He had not gone far when he saw a hooded creature sitting under a bush a little to his left. "Good evening," he said. "These are the grounds of the Ambata, and are not for just anyone to camp in when it takes his fancy. You will be pleased to give me your name and tell me how you got past the guard on the encircling wall." He unsheathed his sword, but for now only held it at his side. The figure drew back its hood, revealing a travel-worn man a few years short, of middle age, bald save for 3 tufts of hair. He looked as if he hadn't slept under a roof in weeks, as indeed he had not. Yet he seemed too learned to be a common vagabond. "My name is Muku," he said in a refined baritone. "I climbed up a tree and over a wall. I have great skill in passing unnoticed when need be. I am come on urgent business with your father." "What sort of business?" asked Barama. "And what is your full name? And whence do you come? This fortress is heavily manned, and if your business be such as to threaten Count Garawada of Peje or his people in life, limb, or honor, it will go ill for you." Barama was on edge and wondered whether Muku might be the creepy emperor's agent. Even apart from these fears, Barama had to make sure that the stranger wasn't a thief or an assassin or possibly a barbarian. "I wish he were a barbarian." "I am a Yaji, and an ambassador on a mission from the Grand Yaji in Ichikarainaj," replied Muku. "My full name is Muku Bemwe Nguramoranji. Behold this document, sealed with a sacred seal." Barama reached with his left hand for the document and examined the seal, while his right still held his sword. He did not take his eyes off the stranger. So far from being offended, Muku smiled approvingly. "It looks genuine enough," said Barama, "but I'll have to show it to my gracious father. Meanwhile, be pleased to stay in this gatehouse." Pardon me. If what the man said was true, Barama ought to call him blessed, but that was still doubtful. Although the Ambata had not been assailed in centuries, bandits did turn up from time to time and made trouble. And this Muku Bemeng Moranji was not clad as a Yaji, nor did he bear the priestly staff of white beechwood surmounted with a red, yellow, and blue star inside a hollow sphere. Nonetheless, Barama kept his head slightly bowed as he led the stranger to the gate. There was no need to be ruder than necessary. When Barama had arrived with Muku at the gatehouse, he told the guard, "Keep an eye on this man at all times, but do him no harm. Tell no one about his arrival until I have returned. I must inform my gracious father that he is here and has managed to breach the wall." The guard bowed and led Muku into the great gatehouse. Let's see. How much more is there? Let's see. Have a second. Okay. A couple of more pages. Barama rode back to the castle, tied his horse Moonlight to a post, and gave him some grass to keep him contented and quiet. Then he climbed up the ladder to the roof and... "I can't very well strike the drum," he thought. "It won't do to have Umara interfering. I'll have to..." He took out a honey tablet out of his bag and scratched a crude message on it. "Man says he's from Inyaji, needs see father. I don't trust Umara." But he then tossed the tablet up into his parents' chamber and waited until his father threw down a cloth ladder and climbed down, carrying a bag of provisions. Garawada made a gesture for Barama to stay quiet and followed him to the eastern gatehouse, where he saw a tramp expounding the 3 proofs of God, from being, from law, and from order, to the interested but rather puzzled-looking guards. The apparent tramp bowed in the Turanian fashion by lowering his head with the hands palm downwards. I greet, Great One, he said. May Great One pardon my appearance. I have been traveling through the forest for a week now. I am Mukubemeng Nguramoranji, priest and jurist. My fair son says that blessed is come in the name of the Grand Yaji, said the Count, also bowing. Do you have a signet ring from Holy One? You do not bear the priestly staff. Yes, Great One, replied Muku, showing Garawada a ring with a white agate in the shape of the ninefold star laid inside a golden circle. I have not brought the staff because I sought to attract as little attention as possible. I have a decree which I have been commanded to publish in Sandaran. Unfortunately, this decree is such as to give little pleasure to exalted Box, and I therefore intend to publish it in the province of Darzaz, which seems the least perilous place to do so. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, maybe I'll stop there.
Mhm.
When you were doing when you said the description of the travel-worn man just, and then you paused, I thought you were about to say just shy of his middle years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the favorite
common
description
thing.
of Robert Jordan.
Yeah,
Well,
especially
yeah.
when he wants to describe milfs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I've never read
Like Tylen Quintara.
Yeah, I've
Tylen
never read.
Quintara, milf.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
I never read what you call that thing, but I'm pretty sure I've seen that phraseology elsewhere. But I've never read Wheel of Time, but I'm pretty sure I've seen that elsewhere. It's not that original.
I just learned that apparently two of my fellow union members that I've been working with very closely for the better part of a year have also been Wheel of Time fans, and I just found that out like a week ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Like,
So long.
and not like they know it, like they have actual official merch.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, there weren't so many books. There's like 15 books or something.
It's one of those things that could actually benefit quite a bit from an abridged version.
Yeah.
I definitely think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
So-
that's part of the reason why I use the audiobooks.
Yeah, the audiobooks are actually really good.
To the buttery performance of Michael Kramer
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
the wonderful
audiobooks.
warm tones of Kate Redding.
Yeah. I just honestly think it's so cute that they're a husband and wife duo. I just honestly find that so
So
wholesome.
adorable.
This is a touching moment in the story.
Indeed.
There was one thing that I thought was that I thought could be edited here. There's a saying Barama did something using an incredibly subtle blocking technique. I think incredibly seems like an unnecessary word there, and I think that's definitely something that could be removed.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. At least I didn't say literally. God help us. When I see literally a book, I want to scream. Even if it literally is true, it's still like it sounds like some juvenile. It sounds like some adolescent or something chatting with their friends. It still doesn't like an actual book. But yeah, that can probably be removed. Yeah, I think it wasn't taking it very seriously.
It has a bit too much of a "trust me, this is awesome" feel to it.
Yeah,
Something happened and it was awesome. You weren't there, but trust me, it was awesome. I wish you could have been there, but
yeah, because I didn't feel like describing. I didn't feel like because I would have no idea what I was talking about because I don't know anything about fencing and all that. I didn't want to go into details. It didn't really matter, so I just wrote that. But yeah, using a subtle, using a subtle. Do you think there's also an exclamation mark at the end of that sentence too?
Oh, bad. Yeah, bad habits. I know I have very bad discipline with exclamation marks myself. You know,
Well,
when I was getting my editor to look over my first book, that was one of the very first pieces of advice that I got. Go through all of those exclamation marks and remove at least 80% of them. That was her advice.
yeah, that's probably good. That's probably good advice. I mean, there are times when they're fine, but don't overdo them. That's all. Don't overdo them. But in this case, this is. I don't actually have that many exclamation marks in the narration, but this one, this one's probably not. Yeah. This one I just wasn't taking it seriously.
And see, that's the thing. English really needs a middle ground punctuation between a period and an exclamation mark. Something where it's elevated emphasis, but not quite exclamation mark material. You get some PhDs to work on that. See if they can't come up with something.
That would be a very. Yes, we need more subtlety in our punctuation.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So apart from that, did it suck? Apart from that,
I liked it.
I think it was interesting how I wasn't quite I wasn't 100% sure what the tension was in the episode, as in the chapter, mainly because I was like, not sure what this is building toward necessarily. But
well, I mean, the bit here is they're meeting is that Barama's meeting Muku. Muku is going to be along with him and Barama. They're going to be the three main characters. So, and he's being, and this is also going to cause trouble with the Emperor because Muku, like we said earlier on in this chapter, but that was several weeks ago, Muku is not in good odor with the Emperor, and his decrees such that the Emperor wouldn't like it very much. Because the Grand Yaji in Terrania has no idea what things are actually like in Sundwan. And he heard about how depraved the court was, and he wants it to be reformed, and he wants the priest there to be deposed, and they want to have a new, and them to elect a new imperial Yaji, the chief priest of the empire. He wants them to elect a new one. He wants them to get rid of Barus and all this other stuff. And the Emperor's
she's kind of like the Puritans.
Yeah, well, I mean, the court is pretty depraved. It could probably use a little bit of reform.
Puritanism. Yeah, probably could.
Yeah, reform drama. And nothing new under the sun.
Yeah. So the guy also belongs to an unpopular, a school of jurisprudence that's unpopular at the Empire. It's not servile enough. And too concerned with a lot of the poor and all that stuff. So that's going to cause trouble eventually. So
well,
yeah, I have no other feedback. I think it's interesting. The dialogue is very engaging, I must say. You definitely do a good job of writing two very different seeming characters.
Good. I'm glad the dialogue's good anyway.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see how this goes when it actually gets published.
Yeah. Hopefully at some point. I guess I can sort of understand Gurm now. Even though he's overdoing it, but I can understand it. I guess.
Yeah.
Writing is hard.
Yeah.
It's that's the thing. It gets easier when you do it for a while, but it's the trouble finding that huge block of time to actually do it. You know, and manage to have the free time, the consistent free time to keep up to a schedule.
Yeah.
I mean, my first book, I wrote the first 2/3 of it during a 6-month period when I was unemployed. The last third of it took me 3 years. Just from the sake of, not being able to set my own schedule.
Yeah, and one gets tired of rewriting eventually, and editing and stuff eventually. Like, one's like, I've already gone through this chapter like not even 20 times, like 50 times maybe. Probably. So one's like, oh my god. And it's still not going to be perfect. It's still not perfect yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that.
Well, the struggle carries on.
Yep.
All right, so which one of us is next? Shall I go next?
Yes. Yes, okay. You can go next.
And how are we doing for time? I have a prologue and a first chapter. They're both about 2.8K words. Should we do just the prologue, or?
Let's just do the prologue if that's okay. I don't think mine's going to be terribly long. Let me see, how long is mine? Let me just click how. Let me just click how. Let me just see how long mine is. Yeah, well, you do it. You just start, and I'll check how long it is.
Are you the writers of Three-Eyed Theorists? Somebody asked. I think only. What's his name?
Yeah, it's just done. We're not involved with that.
We're just extras.
Yeah. Anyway.
More like a set. These guys are independent writers. I just happen to write for them, and I'm one of the head writers for them. There are other people who do it more, who've done it longer than me, and some people one person who's done it longer than me, and one person, and most people that are kind of, I guess, the junior writers, since I've just been pretty much since I've just been working with them since December, and I'm the most prolific out of all of the writers. So go ahead, Mr. Carl.
All right. So this isn't from the Waters of Akra. I'm still working on that, but this is from a separate new piece that I'm working on. I'm only working on it during my breaks at work, though, so it shouldn't be getting too much taken away from the Waters of Akra. But we'll see how this goes here. This is I shouldn't give away too much early, but I'll say this is the story of sort of a reptilian conspiracy, but told from the point of view of the reptilians themselves. So we'll start with the prologue. Thick curtains of darkness hang heavy throughout the temple in the hours before the dawn. Only in the innermost sanctum is there any illumination to be found, as two white-robed initiates go about polishing the golden icons by candlelight. They move slowly with a deliberate ritual pace, their eyes straining the fitful light, seeking out and wiping away any specks of dust that profane the sacred images of the great goddess and her 7 servants. All the while, from behind a gossamer thin curtain that conceals a window to a hidden corridor, a third pair of eyes watches them. Golden and gleaming are they, with long vertical slits for pupils. These are not human eyes. They are the eyes of a worm. The darkness within the passage conceals all but the most elementary details of the creature's form. The flat arrow-like shape of its head, its slender torso, and its long muscular tail, dimensions which recall that creature which the humans refer to as a snake. The only departure from this pattern comes in the form of 2 arms, slender and waif-like, yet possessed of a strength and speed of reflex that even the mightiest of warriors cannot hope to match. Its strong and dexterous fingers steadily open and close around the hilt of a curved, fang-like dagger of iridescent steel. For hours the worm holds the 2 initiates in its lidless gaze, noting details too subtle to be seen even by the initiates themselves. The creature's forked tongue flicks back and forth to taste the air, and the pit organs on the creature's snout examine the heat radiating off the 2 warm bodies, reading the subtle signs of the simple emotions within. The hours pass in slow, watchful silence, until the tolling of a great bell, mighty and monstrous, resounding through the temple. The dawning hours of a new day have arrived. The watching creature heeds the warning and slithers silently toward the hidden entrance to the passage. As it goes, it produces a small ring wrought of delicate wires of gold and silver with a single blood-red jewel, and slips the bauble onto its finger. The transformation takes effect at once. The creature's reptilian head molds itself into a human shape, and locks of rich, luxurious hair sprout from its crown, weaving themselves into magnificent braids as they grow. The creature's tail splits into a pair of shapely legs, which vanish in turn beneath illusory robes. The scaled pattern of its hide fades, leaving behind a virgin, unblemished skin of a pleasing hue. The worm passes by a small mirror as it nears the passage entrance, and a quick sideways glance confirms that its disguise is in good order. The worm now appears to all outside senses as a human being, a priestess in service to the temple of the great goddess. The disguise is spectacularly beautiful, which is of course by design, much effort having been expended over the centuries to ensure that this is the sort of thing that passes for beauty in this region. There is even a name to go along with this persona, Ophelia, a feminine rendering of the creature's true name, Ophidian. It is a curious aspect of human biology that they divide themselves into both male and female forms. Gender, they call it. A perplexing concept to wormkind who possess a uniform biology. Even more baffling to wormkind is the tendency of humans to strictly divide and regiment their societies along the lines of this gender. To be sure, each worm is its own individual, with its own skills and weaknesses, as well as tastes and preferences. But the idea of restricting these things so rigidly, and along a mere accident of biology besides, is absurd. Yet, ridiculous though the concept may seem in an academic sense, its workings are simple enough in practice and marvelously convenient for exploitation. Ophidian pauses as it reaches the entrance to the passage, hidden behind another curtain. It strains its ears, now disguised as a human's, yet no less perceptive for the illusion. Listening between the tolling of the bell. Finally, a soft sound slithers through the fine fabric, a sound that any inferior human ear might dismiss as a mere breath. Yet there are words buried within the sound. "The way is clear, brethren." At this assurance, Ophidian slides gracefully between a gap in the curtains and steps out into the corridor. Across from the hidden entrance stands a human in the uniform of a temple guard, or at least so it might seem to the inferior human eye. For with its pit organs, Ophidian can tell that this guard's body temperature is far lower than any human. This guard is a fellow worm, posted here ostensibly to watch over the temple, but in truth to ensure that no unsuspecting pilgrims or temple slaves stumble upon this secret passage. A quick gesture passes between the two disguised worms, an inclination of posture so subtle as to be nearly imperceptible even to wormkind. Yet it is enough. After this acknowledgement of their shared hidden purpose, the two worms turn away, one to resume its silent patrol, the other towards the heart of the temple. Ophidian enters the sanctum in time with the final tolling of the bell. "Dawn is breaking," it says in the pleasing and melodic voice of Ophelia, the false priestess. "The hour has come to make your offerings." "We obey, priestess," the two initiates speak as one. They cease their labors and join the false priestess at the center of the sanctum. There they gather about the altar of offerings, a gleaming silver basin draining into a small crystal flask. The basin is supported by 8 legs wrought in the shapes of the great goddess and her 7 servants, each one treading a serpent beneath her heel. It is a highly offensive image to a worm, of course, but such small slights are easily borne in service to the great work. "You shall present first," says the false priestess, drawing forth the dagger and letting the candles cast ripples across its surface. The first initiate offers forth her hand, trembling slightly in anticipation of the pain to come. The false priestess lays the point of the dagger upon the initiate's palm and guides her fingers closed about the blade. "By this offering I honor the great goddess," says the initiate. "May she and her 7 servants watch over and protect all virtuous souls and guide us in righteousness forevermore." With the prayer made, the false priestess draws the dagger swiftly out again. The initiate flinches at the cut and opens her hand, revealing the bloody slash across her palm, and lets the droplets fall into the basin below. 3 pairs of eyes watch closely as the blood gathers on the polished surface of the basin and slowly trickles down the drain into the vessel below. Then, nothing. "Your faith is little," the false priestess snaps. "You shall do penance until the new moon." "I obey, priestess," says the initiate, her voice heavy with sorrow and dejection. This initiate is a daughter of the nobility, and despite a life of ease and luxury, her zeal and dedication to the teachings of the great goddess is pure and absolute. A perilous thing. True believers have an inconvenient tendency to take stands on principle and inspire others to do the same. This initiate shall be kept down as much as possible for her entire career, perhaps reduced to a temple slave or assigned to an isolated mission off in the hinterlands. And if she still manages to make a bother of herself after all, well, it is a little matter. There are few problems that cannot be remedied by a few droplets of poison or an assassin's blade. The false priestess turns to the second initiate. "Now you shall present." The second initiate offers up her hand in the selfsame manner as the first and repeats the blessing. However, just as the false priestess draws the blade away, the worm beneath the human disguise utters an incantation. The words are soft, concealed within a simple breath. Yet even so, the spell woven within the words takes immediate effect. The second initiate opens her hand, revealing the same neat cut as the first. Yet as the blood drops from the initiate's hand and pool in the basin, tiny sparks of green light flicker within the droplets, casting shadows across the faces of the 3 watchers until the liquid vanishes from sight. There is promise in you, child, says the false priestess. You shall be set to monitor the penance of your faithless companion. Let us hope she may learn a measure of devotion by your good instruction. I obey, priestess, says the second initiate proudly. This girl was born of the mercantile middle classes, and is filled with envy and spiteful ambition over those whom society deems her betters. The perfect candidate to be raised to a position of high prominence within the temple hierarchy. She seeks power for herself at all costs, and she will surely get it, provided, of course, that she then does with that power exactly as she is bidden. Yet it is not in the character of this one to trouble herself over such minor details. Hers shall be a perfectly stage-managed life, so filled with prestige, adulation, and other earthly concomitants of power, that she will never stop to question whether any of that power is anything more than a shadow on the wall. As the ritual concludes, the soft sound of silk whispering over the stone floor tiles disturbs the silence of the sanctum. The false priestess turns toward the entrance, where a young woman stands in a simple silk nightgown. I hope I'm not disturbing anything important, she says. Not at all, princess, says the false priestess, making a deep bow of obeisance. Show respect, children. We stand in the presence of the most favored. The initiates prostrate themselves in haste as Princess Alavastra, heir to the throne of Lyridia and most favored of the great goddess, strides into the sanctum with a hunter's grace. I missed you at the wedding feast last night, Ophelia, says Alavastra. Alas, that my duties before the great goddess have a tendency to keep me away from social affairs, says Ophelia. Might I beg to know what brings your greatness to our humble sanctum this morning? I'm here to make an offering, says Alavastra. And to pray for a child as well. Her voice sinks low with the mention of the child. The implication is clear enough. May my young husband's seed take root within my womb, so that he shall not have the occasion to plant it there again for a good long while to come. A worthy prayer, says Ophelia, returning to the altar of offerings and taking up the ritual dagger once more. Alavastra takes her time in joining them at the altar, and offers up her hand for Ophelia. As she extends her arm, the sleeve of her nightgown falls away, revealing muscles larger and more sharply defined than a typical human might deem attractive for a woman. The worm's keen senses beneath the human facade note the subtle change in Alavastra's heart rate as Ophelia takes her hand. The princess grips the blade firmly, and as she raises her eyes to meet Ophelia's gaze, her mouth quirks into a crooked position that Ophidian recognizes as a smile. Human faces are far more expressive than worms, who possess few facial muscles. It is the primary means by which humans communicate their emotions to one another. Long has wormkind studied these expressions, cataloging their patterns and deciphering their hidden meanings. Not to read emotions, of course, for such things are quite legible through more subtle means. No, wormkind studies facial expressions in order to learn how best to imitate them in furtherance of the great work. Ophidia needs little time to decide how best to match Alavastra's smile. A quick, subtle upward flex of the cheek muscles, and Ophelia's illusory lips flash a quick smile in response. A timid gesture, but one that invites further interest and pursuit. Your greatness may utter the blessing now, says Ophelia. Alavastra speaks the same benediction as the initiates, while Ophidian once more again utters the secret spell. Then the blade draws away, and Alavastra opens her hand, revealing a palm wreathed in brilliant green flames. All eyes in the sanctum watch in wonder as beads of blazing blood drip into the basin like molten metal into a blacksmith's crucible. Behold the purest faith of all, says Ophelia. Look well, children, and learn the mark of true devotion. Perchance the great goddess shall welcome your future offerings in this manner, provided you redouble your zeal and fervor in her blessed service. It is a futile wish, of course. The secret spell Ophidian speaks reacts with the potency of the thaumaturgical essence of magic in human blood, and there are few in the kingdom with blood so rich in magic as the royal line of Lyridia, having been bred specifically for this trait over many long centuries. Now then, back to your labors, Ophelia commands the initiates. The morning acolytes will be coming soon, and the sanctum must be in perfect order when they arrive. The two initiates scurry off to make one final inspection. Ophelia turns to Alabastra. Now then, if it please your greatness, let us proceed to the shrine of Lirith the Lightbringer, that we may begin your greatness's prayers. Before we start, says Alabastra, I've an offer to make you. An offer? Well, an invitation, let us say, says Alabastra. I shall be embarking upon a hunt in the Royal Game Preserve later this morning. It would please me very much if you would accompany me. On a hunt? Says Ophelia. I don't know that I should be much use to your greatness upon a hunt. Does your greatness anticipate the need for a priestess? Not a priestess per se, says Alabastra. Just you. I see, says Ophelia, making another smile, but turning her head aside and raising a hand to half conceal the expression, a sign of reserved interest that most humans would easily understand as an invitation to pursue further. Well, I suppose that would be quite pleasant, Ophelia continues. But then again, I walk rather slowly, and I have no skill at riding. I shouldn't like to think I was holding your greatness back. Then I shall have my palanquin prepared, says Alabastra. A palanquin? For me? For the both of us, says Alabastra. The better to keep me fresh for the chase. I suppose that does make sense, says Ophelia. Very well, then. I shall accept your greatness's offer. Marvelous, says Alabastra. In the meanwhile, let us take your greatness's prayers. Yes, do let's, says Alabastra, allowing herself to be led away to the shrine. As the two women kneel and begin reciting the ancient prayers, a flicker in the reflection of the polished idols catches Ophidian's attention. A new figure has entered the sanctuary, a young man in priestly robes. He waits by the entrance, rubbing one eye as though to banish the ghost of sleep or numb the pain of a bothersome headache. Ophelia continues reciting the prayers, yet with the other half of its forked tongue, Ophidian speaks in the hidden speech of wormkind. You looked at it, didn't you, brethren? The fault is mine, brethren, says the new priest in the same hidden speech. I was not vigilant on my watch atop the temple spire, and my vision was stung by the rising of the eye of blasphemy. Ophidian suppresses a shudder at the tale. Worms have no eyelids, and every worm learns through long years of caution to shield their delicate, darkness-attuned gaze from the eye of blasphemy, that hideous orb of fire and fury that daily profanes the sacred darkness of the sky, the one that humans name the sun. Still, every now and again an unwary worm will let their vision stray into its perilous path, prompting a more forceful lesson. Are you well enough to serve, brethren? Asks Ophidian. There is still time enough to summon a replacement. I believe I am well enough, brethren, says the new priest. So long as I remain within the sanctum for the next few days, my vision shall recover with time. Very well, brethren, says Ophidian. In time, Alabastra's prayers are concluded, and she and Ophelia rise from the altar. I shall send a servant to fetch you once we're ready to set off. Her posterior sways prominently from side to side as she departs the sanctum. Ophidian crosses back to the altar of offerings and reaches down to collect the small crystal flask beneath the basin. The new false priest approaches and sets an empty flask in its place. The great work carries on, brethren, says the new false priest. Swift comes the day of darkness, brethren, Ophidian says, handing the ritual dagger to the new priest. We shall all be revenged upon the eye of blasphemy before long. Ophidian departs the sanctum with the flask of blood hidden within Ophelia's illusory robes. Soon the blood gathered shall be brought to a hidden chamber deep beneath the temple, and there it shall be distilled and fortified into the concentrated essence of magic and put into the service of the great work. And soon, very soon, once enough magic has been mustered, the great sorcerer kings of Wormkind shall turn this gathered might against the eye of blasphemy and stab it from the sky once and for all. For this is the true purpose of the great work, to put out the sun and shroud the world in darkness, thereby clearing the way for the rise of the kingdom of the worms. And that's the end of the prologue.
Ooh, very, very intriguing.
Yeah.
I like it. It's very cool.
Yeah. Won't the worms all die, though, if there's no sun?
I mean, I have it written into their lore that they used to basically run the world before the sun came up, and the sun is new.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's kind of a, make the worms great again.
I see.
Of course, we'll eventually learn that it's a touch more complicated than that, but early days yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll just answer some questions. Hi, Targar. How's it going, buddy? Always a pleasure. Sorry, I'm not sure the context. Comes the sun.
Here comes the sun. It's all right.
Here comes the sun, and I say, my eyes hurt. Oh fuck, 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 fuck.
That's somewhat different. Are there a different song?
It's a cultural translation, you see.
Or a different version of the song. It's a cultural translation to Wormese.
I don't know.
So
Yeah, yeah. I'm so gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
worms with a Y, like a dragon,
yeah, it's like
IRM, yeah.
WIRM. They're not necessarily actually worms. Even in the real world, worms are several different phyla. So there's no one.
Yeah.
Like worm refers to several different things, scientifically speaking.
There isn't. There's just one sun.
yeah.
The worms just want to, put it out.
Don't want any sun at all.
We're going to be testing out some. There is going to be a few reborn stories into the mix, and we're going to be doing like specific mission reborn scripts. I won't tell you what, but that's the. There are going to be a few in the mix, but essentially just we don't have that many. We only have a few House of the Dragon theories coming up in the next few months until the end of the year. But yeah, we have until December 30th planned out. Because it's an alien planet. That's my understanding.
There isn't. There's only one sun.
Is there any moon or anything like that?
Yeah, there's a moon. The moon is
And a
older than the
coconut
sun.
cream. And a coconut cream pie as well.
They don't
You can have
They don't mind the moon. They just hate the sun.
See, the moon is manageable. It's not so bright. And like moonlight's like magic and shit, so you can do stuff with the moon.
Yeah. So have either of you two heard of the there are no bananas in the sky, in the sky, in the sky. There are no Bananas in the sky.
Uh,
That's not on the list. Sorry.
No,
Sorry.
no.
That's not on the list. Sorry.
I don't
what,
know.
Alicent? Then you're not going to do Alicent. If Alicent
Uh,
and was like, wait a minute here. What's with
So-
this killing off my kids? You know, I gotta get over. I gotta, you know.
So, so there's kind of an interesting. So with Three-Eyed Theorist, there's actually a series that we do periodically. It's what if X person was born with all of their memories from like their life functionally, and he's just asking if we're going to be doing one of those with Alicent this year, and I'm like, at the moment, no, I don't believe we'll do it. We're definitely not going to do that this year. Basically, September 11th is the last Hot D theory, and I'll just let you know what they are now. We got Daemon as king. I need to write that. I wrote Jace surviving the Battle of the Gullet. I wrote Rhaenys and Viserys getting married, and yeah, that's it. That's those. And what if Jon was born in Hot D? Though the second part of that is going to be a bit of a change.
Oh, it's already kind of weird. That one's kind of weird, to be honest.
What is?
The
Yeah.
John one, that one got kind of weird. And it started out kind of weird because he's born in the past, but then it started getting really weird eventually. It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Well, it is Rhaenyra Targaryen, who's like very sexually active, and as is Lena Valerian, supposedly.
I was not expecting that. I was not expecting polyamory.
Well, there's kind of a weird, funny ship where I think a gray area also like peddles it, where Daemon and Lena and Rhaenyra are all in a throuple together, or like,
I
at least
think
they like
that's-
having.
Yeah, that's from Mushroom. That's probably from
Yeah.
Mushroom. Mushroom probably made up this stuff too.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Wait, yeah. Back to the important
Sorry,
bits. I really like.
Sorry, Sailor.
Yeah, I like I like the dialogue. I did not write it. Do not blame me for that one. But yeah, I like the dialogue. I like Ophidian as this like sinister villain protagonist. Honestly, really creepy and well done.
Yeah, I'm already scared of worms anyway.
Yeah.
And now I'm even more scared of them.
You should be. They're
Yeah.
manipulating you.
Yeah.
Then again, that is the sort of thing that a worm would say.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
am I imagining things, or does the princess have the whole, or the worm priestess lady?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's made very clear.
Yeah. Yeah. Who knew that worms are such a turn on?
Well, I mean, they're pretty. I mean, pretty by design. They go through a lot of work to make sure that these disguises are attractive. The better to blend in, You're not going to do much infiltration if you're an Uggo.
Cool.
Oh, definitely.
Yes. From now on, I will lust after worms.
Anyways. So,
Yeah, I wrote it, Mr. Pius. Yeah, that's correct. Sorry,
You
go
wrote
ahead.
which?
There was I wrote a script where that just came out today of grayscale spreading across Westeros like a plague.
Yeah, I'm way behind on these things.
No, it's
Couple
fine.
of them. Yeah, there were a couple I listened to. I listened to the one with John being reborn and then doing polyamory, and I listened to that one, and I listened to the one with Tywin, where Tywin was basically good.
Oh, the Honorable Tywin. Yeah,
Yeah.
that one was one.
Tywin was nice because his children. He was basically good apart from the Reigns thing, because I think he still had the Reigns of Castamere thing in the background. But apart from that, he was good.
Yeah. Yeah, my thought process with that one was he's still going to like have to break the Reigns and Tarbex. Since you kind of have to because they are murderers and murderers. Since they I did make sure to include the little bit of the Reigns murdering his family members as a quote unquote mistake.
Yeah, but then he ended up killing all of them, so it's still.
He just kills the adults. He doesn't kill the children, and he doesn't kill all of Tarbeck.
So they're not all in the castle at the time.
No, he doesn't like drown them all. He just forces them to capitulate.
Oh, okay, that's all right.
So he's a much more reasonable Witch Theory video. You'll have to use a murder. Some little bit confused. There's some brain. But yeah, I like. Sorry to derail it. Comments, all that. But I think that was really well done. Grayscale. I'm not sure why Megor would be happy. But yeah, I think this is great. I like the character of Ophidian. She's got a lot of really neat stuff.
It's interesting getting into the evil of Worm Lady's head too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to. This one actually believes, so I'm going to have to make sure she doesn't get too powerful or she'll mess everything up with her principles.
Well, lady is relative. They have no gender.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Female-in.
Pretend lady then.
Oh yeah, Maester's dying. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
It's like everyone's getting so hung up on the business of gender neutral bathrooms, and I'm thinking, you mean a bathroom?
Yeah.
Especially since most of the ones they're talking about are single person anyway. So why would two people be in there at the same time?
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, we're an hour in. I'm guessing we're probably not going to be going through the first chapter then. I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, we've had King's Landing burn a few times. But yeah. Alrighty, cool.
Well, all right, so I guess it's you then, Don.
All right. So to give a summary I'm starting up a new book. I started up a new book last week. This is my how to put it. Basically taking my LDS mission experience and changing it into a Warhammer style space opera.
Yeah, you began pretty abruptly too, because immediately these people were like killing, getting killed and fighting and breaking out of prison and stuff.
Yeah, I thought I'd start off with a bit of a bang.
Yeah.
There should be. Oh, there already is a bit. You just haven't seen it yet, or you just haven't looked for it. There's a video of what if the Mad King succeeded in burning King's Landing. It's from a while back, admittedly, but it does exist. So maybe we'll do a reboot at some point. I don't know, but we'll see. But basically, so with this one, I just decided to start up with with this book, I just decided to start with a bang, where we are where you're with these two apostolicus, which are basically these super soldiers who are stuck in an enemy prison, and they just barely manage to break out at least of their cells, and now they're trying to escape. Right. Chapter 2. A Weight to Carry. Careful to make sure they weren't suspicious. Erend and Kessler strode through the halls, not too fast. Not too slow. Every time Aaron heard a sound, and he had to stiffen up and stop himself from jumping. He wished he had something for his bone-dry throat, but unfortunately water fountains weren't exactly in great abundance. Adjusting his grip on the gun, Aaron deliberately avoided putting his finger on the trigger. Something was very wrong with this place. It felt dark, despite having large sections of red light periodically placed throughout along the wall. Breath coming in spurts, Aaron glanced from side to side, watching for a sign of a demon possessed. If one of those abominations saw the two disguised Apostolicus, Kessler and Aaron were dead meat. Spying the creature wouldn't be too difficult. They were so divorced from humanity that all they needed to do was see a set of twisted wings and other physical abnormality. The difficult part would be difficult part would be escaping it. Taking a deep breath through his nose, Aaron focused on as many mundane events like tapping his finger against the grip of his gun, rolling his shoulders, or even checking his belt. Anything to try and take his mind away from the fact that they were inside an enemy stronghold, surrounded by apostates likely to run into a demon-fused. Or any number of life-threatening circumstances. Remember when you first got to the Crusade? Kessler asked. It's sort of a haze, Aaron remarked, sparring with the zone leaders and assistants in Independence, but Independence first day. But that's it. I remember you were so scared. I pick you up in a big old hug, and I'd like to tell you that you're going to be in good hands. Kessler put his hand on Aaron's shoulder. We're getting out of here together. Don't worry, son. That was a rather weird but touching tradition that the brother Apostolica is training you. It was your dad, and the oldest sister in the district was your mom. For the male Apostolicus. For girls, the sister. For the girls, the sister training you was your mom, and your district leader was your dad. Felt good, even though it was kind of weird. You gotten used to it since Kessler wasn't hard to get along with, so the weirdness wasn't too onerous. Come on, Kessler nodded to a door on the way. We're almost there. Aaron hoped the security on the army would be accessible with Malthus' security protocols, since if it wasn't, they were screwed. Casually, Kessler put his stolen gauntlet near the door. The world seemed to slow down to a crawl as the lights on the security lock started flashing. All that needed to happen was the alarm to go off for them to be caught in a firefight. The breath rushed out of Aaron's mouth as it flashed open to open up. Open sesame. Kessler smiled, then strode inside, picking around as fast as he could for his sword. Despite how tense the situation was, Aaron chuckled as he followed his trainer and ew. The Roman started his own search. After a few minutes, Aaron found his sword, a straight it weapon with a crossguard emblazoned with a snarling hound's head where the blade met the hilt. Inscribed on the hilt was, "For my son, to carry into battle while he's away from his family. Love you, Aaron. Love you, your dad." Swallowing, Aaron held the sword close to him, almost as if his real dad were there, rather than just the sword he'd given him. Carefully, he clipped the sword onto his back, not wanting to get too wrapped up in the emotion of the moment. Ah! Gessler abruptly yelled. Okay, Kessler was holding his black, causing Aaron to jump and nearly fire off a barrage of arrows of shots. Kessler was holding his black and red Hershey blade in front of his face with both hands. The red lines along the blade glowing softly as its master looked up and down its length. "My arm is complete again," his trainer remarked. Art discarding his apostate sword and clipping his Hershey blade to his back. As soon as it left his hands, the blade dimmed, though it seemed like it was humming. "Same," Aaron remarked, reaching backward and tapping on his own sword. "Nice," Kessler grinned. "One day you'll go to Top City and you'll get a Hershey blade. I know it." "Thanks," Aaron smiled, though he was wondering internally if this other Hershey would find him worthy of allowing him to use this legendary Hershey forge. If he could get a weapon like Kessler, that would be something special. Aaron had seen that sword carved through armor and bone like paper, leaving only red-hot metal and scorched skin behind. The hound sword on Aaron's back cut well, but there was always some resistance when going through armor. It also didn't amplify psychic abilities like a Hershey blade did. Clearly excited, Kessler grinned and reached his hand out, then pulled a magazine into his hand with a telepathic pull. It wobbled and came over to him slowly, probably because they were very malnourished. But once they got some food, that would change. Experimentally, Aaron tried his own psychic pull. Nothing happened. So that hadn't changed. He was still powerless. Kessler noticed the futile attempt and gave Aaron a sympathetic look. "You'll get it, son." He put his hand on Aaron's shoulder. "Come on, let's head." Sighing in irritation, Aaron rolled his shoulders and followed his trainer out the door into the hallway. Still not wanting to get caught, the two Apostolicus did their best not to run or anything else that would look suspicious. "How do you think we're going to get out?" Aaron asked. "Do you think there's a copter or something?" "It's probably the best option, but probably it would have to worry about the anti-aircraft." Kessler took a deep breath and tapped on his gauntlets to pull up an outline of the building. "We're here," he pointed to one point on the map on the small screen on his gauntlet. "And we need to be here to get out." He pointed toward another spot on the map. "Here's the path, and there's a couple of checkpoints on the way. Those are going to cause problems." "Oh, come on," Aaron groaned, looking down his stomach. Fighting on nearly an empty stomach sounded like torture. "We steal some food at least?" he asked. Kessler thought for a moment, then started moving around, trying to find the mess. Started moving the map around. "It's all the way at the bottom," he said, pointing to the image. "We're not going down there without getting recognized." "Oh, great." Aaron's stomach rumbled again. "All right, let's get out of here." "Sounds like a plan," Kessler remarked, grabbing a much more effective sidearm from the rack and putting it on his belt. "Got the best model you can. We have to fight our way through." Oh.
Sorry. Lost my place. I was like, grab the best model you can. We might have to fight our way through. And we're probably going to have to climb around, so grab a grapple too. Aaron nodded, then grabbed a pair of sidearms and clipped them to his belt. Glancing around, Aaron started going through boxes until he found a grapple attachment. Satisfied, Aaron grabbed the attachment and hooked it into his gauntlet. He wished he could have his own armor, but that wasn't too likely to work, especially since they would stand out like a white goat in a herd of black ones if they tried to sneak out in their old armor. Because of that, getting their personal armor would have to be discarded as a dangerous pipe dream. They'd have to get new sets as soon as they got back to friendly territory. Once they were satisfied they were fully armed, the two Apostolicus walked back into the hallway and started making their way toward the point Kessler had marked. Aaron rolled his hand around the grip of his gun, wondering if he'd have to use it. Carefully, he glanced back and forth, looking for any sign of an apostate guard patrol. If they encountered a demon, they'd have to make a run for it. Without warning, they turned a corner and came face to face. Could be accurately described as the worst possible scenario. A group of apostates with a tall green and blue demon that had a massive pot belly and large leathery wings. As soon as the monster saw them, it let out a slobbering roar and leaped at them, surprisingly fast for something that bulky. Kessler reacted immediately. Silently, he raised his gun and fired into the apostate guards. Some of them fall, only as the bullets found the weak points in their armor. The others retreated while the demons swinging a long, almost sword-bladed spear at them. Wanting to gain some advantage, Kessler attacked while Aaron stood back, trying to keep the enemy down by firing on them. With sound like shattering glass, the demon's sickly blade slammed into Kessler's black weapon, a strange aura appearing around the Hershey blade. The demon snarled and swung at him, but Kessler dodged back and slashed ashwardingly at the demon. Before his companion could get swarmed, Aaron rushed forward, unclipping his sword from his back and firing at the demon's wings. The bullets hit the demon, but there weren't consecrated rounds. If they wanted to do that, they would have had to bless the ammo, which required a ritual that they didn't have time to do even before the fight. With a grunt, the demon shrugged off the barrage and charged toward Aaron, its mouth filled with an ethereal green fire. For a moment, Aaron felt true fear surge up inside as the demon rushed him. Time was still. He was still. It wasn't like a statue. Then Kessler leapt at the demon from the side, driving his Hershey blade into the creature's gut. With a scream, the demon swung his weapon at Kessler. Aaron cried out as the blade slashed a large gap in Kessler's side, the armor smoking and glowing bright green. The demon was equally wounded on another. Unconsecrated bullets might not hurt it, but the Hershey blade seemed to bubble and burn where it stabbed. For a moment, the demon writhed, then Kessler seemed to draw on this last reserves of strength. Then drove his sword through its arm. Screaming, the creature clutched his bubbling arm, its weapon dropping from its fingers. "Get the soldiers!" Kessler yelled forcefully as he attacked the wounded demon. Aaron shook himself out of his stupor and ran around the demon, charging at the few remaining apostate soldiers. They seemed to be in shock from the demon getting wounded, but that was all Aaron needed. With brutal, if clumsy strikes, Aaron quickly dispatched the enemy with a combination of sidearm and blade. Finally, the last apostate lay dead on the ground right as Kessler finished off the demon. "Nice job," Kessler remarked, leaning against the wall, his sword clutched like a cane in his hand. Breath coming in spurts, Kessler ran to a fallen apostate and pulled out some med packs. Without hesitating, Aaron opened up the port in the armor and inserted the pack into it. Instantly, Kessler grimaced, fingers shaking as his body started repairing itself. Aaron drained med pack after med pack until finally Kessler grabbed at Aaron's shoulder. Save some of those for later. He grunted. We'll need them. Aaron nodded, stowed the med packs in his belt, then tried to help his trainer up. Kessler let himself be helped to his feet, then gently pushed Aaron away. Come on, son, he muttered, his voice hoarse and full of pain. You sure you're going to be okay? Aaron asked. Aaron said, No, but we don't have enough med packs for this. Kessler grimaced. I might be done for, but I promised I'd get you out of here, and we're going to do it. No! Aaron put his trainer's arm around his shoulder. Come on, we'll get out of this place together, you and me. Sure. Kessler gave him a weak squeeze, then handed him his Hershey blade. Take it. Aaron looked down at the sword, then back up at his trainer. No, that's your sword, he said immediately. I'm running on borrowed time, Kessler said calmly, pushing the sword toward him. I'm gonna get you out of this, and I don't want these jackwagons getting my sword. If we get out, you can give it back to me. But if not, take the sword. Promise me, Aaron. Hands shaking, Aaron took hold of the weapon. For a moment, Kessler held on. Then he spoke. Engage DNA resync now, he said calmly. For a moment, the sword glowed, then something transferred Kessler to Aaron. Swallowing, Aaron took the sword and swung it experimentally, blade glowing for him no differently than it had for Kessler. Grinning slightly, Kessler leaned back. You got it. Okay, well, come on. Aaron tried to help his friend up, but Kessler's eyes were developing greenish veins and his body was unresponsive. Slowing you down, son, Kessler said quietly, coughing out green liquid. I don't care. I'm getting you out, Aaron said, feeling fresh courage just against all reason as he almost carried his trainer toward the next exit they'd found. We're getting out of here together. I'm done for, kid. Kessler coughed as they stumbled toward the exit, the alarms blaring around him. There was poison on that blade. And without another apostolicus to perform the blessing and or consecrated oil, I'm a dead man. Aaron couldn't argue with his companion's logic, but he still didn't want to accept it. Not yet, anyway. Grimacing hard, Aaron kept on half carrying, half dragging his trainer toward an elevator. With a pained grunt, he slammed his fist into the button, causing the lift doors to open. As they did, a group of apostate soldiers rounded the corner and started firing at them. Before they could get a few shots off, Aaron and Kessler fell inside and took cover. Weakly, Kessler pushed the button next to the door. With a clank and a sound of bullets ricocheting off the metal, the lift doors closed in front of them. We're safe. Aaron glanced around at his friend as he started coughing up more green liquid. Sighing, Aaron sat down and took a deep breath. Good job carrying me, buddy. Kessler reached his hand out. Hand me that gun. I'm going to need a spare. Sure. Aaron handed Kessler one of the sidearms he was carrying. Thanks. Kessler wiped his mouth, looking disgusted. Tastes like the backside of a sick camel. The notion was so hilarious and disgusting that Aaron had to laugh and gag at the same time. Kessler chuckled. Think we can get some old-fashioned soda somewhere? He asked, almost as if they weren't running for their lives. That's what you're thinking about right now? Aaron asked, somewhat incredulous. Why not get a man think about his last drink before croaking? Kessler chuckled, then grimaced. I think it's gotten to the kidneys. A second later, he arched his back and gritted his teeth. Yup, definitely the kidneys. I think they were running out of time. Aaron glanced at the lift monitor to get a sense of where they were at. His heart sunk. They were slowing down. Kessler glanced up and gave a humorless chuckle. Thought it might be too easy. Aaron's mind started racing, trying to think of a possible solution to their situation. He might be able to shoot the enemy up or try to execute a wild charge. Neither option was good. Licking his lips, Aaron pulled out his slide arm, not wanting to grab the assault rifle for fear of getting swarmed or being unable to fight them off. Centering himself, Aaron raised his gun and leaned his sword against his extended forearm. If he had to swing, he would have some momentum to strike. Then he had an idea. Thinking quickly, Aaron drove Kessler's sword into the ceiling, the strange metal of the Hershey blade slicing through the top of the elevator. Come on, Kessler. Aaron grabbed his companion with one arm, then pointed upward with his arm with the other. The grapple on his arm fired up through the hole and lodged in the shaft. Hang on, buddy. Coughing, Kessler put his arm around Aaron's shoulder right as Aaron rose out of the lift into the shaft. Bracing himself against Kessler's foul breath, Aaron slowly ascended upward into the shaft, then dropped a couple of grenades into the hole he'd left behind. His arms started complaining against him as they slowly went to another door. The labored grunt, Aaron sliced open the door and went around and through, almost falling as he carefully turned to let Kessler lower himself into the shaft door. A few seconds later, they dragged themselves through. A low boom announced that Aaron's gauntlets had gone off. Kessler grinned. Hope they liked your present of firecrackers. He chuckled. Ha ha, Aaron said sarcastically as he tried to catch his breath. I always liked the idea of Spartan wit. Kessler. All right. Kessler dusted himself off. Favorite quote was when people talked about how many archers were in the Persian army. So many they could blot out the sun with one volley. What is the point of this? Aaron asked as he stood up. Some smart aleck Spartan said, then we will fight in the shade. Kessler chuckled, then gasped pain. Ow. He trailed off and started hawking up green vomit. We'll get you out of here. Aaron tried to push himself up, then he almost stumbled. Crap. I'm so tired already. I know, buddy. Kessler winced. Thanks for carrying my poison-ridden behind all this way. You're a good scent, just don't fart in my general direction. Aaron chuckled hoarsely. Kessler started laughing, which turned into a hacking cough. Now that is Spartan wit, my friend. I learned from the best. Aaron helped his companion to his feet. Come on, let's get out of here like we came in, together. Here I thought we were brought in here by a bunch of stinking apostates. Aaron, Kessler abruptly poked away and sprayed green and red vomit all over the floor. Aaron was torn between wanting to throw up himself, worry about his companion's life expectancy, and his powerlessness about this whole situation. When it was finished, Kessler pushed himself to his feet and wiped his mouth. Now that is one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen, the older Apostolicus remarked, patting his stomach. Maybe death isn't such a bad option. Don't say stuff like that. Aaron blurted out. We're going to escape. You're getting through this. I like the positive attitude, Kessler remarked, holding himself up by leaning on the wall. But let's be realistic. The best I can do is make a spinal stand and let you run. Aaron swallowed. You sure? Yeah. I'm not even running on fumes at this point. Kessler made a gagging noise. They chase us. You gotta get out of here. No matter what. Aaron glanced around, then steeled himself and helped his companion up. Let's at least try. He trailed off, unable to continue. Instead of finishing, he started walking with Kessler hanging onto him. No jokes about laying off the Twinkies? Kessler asked, eyes now completely green. We haven't had any stinky Twinkies in weeks. Aaron huffed as they came to a set of stairs leading upward. For a moment, he paused to steel himself. crap. Now I'm craving stupid Twinkies. Thanks for that. You're welcome. Kessler coughed, shaking his head. Aaron caught out his hand, putting his arm around his shoulders, and started trudging toward the exit. In the distance, they heard alarms and the sounds of apostate soldiers coming toward them. Face twisted in pain, Kessler grabbed his gun and pushed Aaron forward. Go, he growled, changing the settings on his grenade belt. I'll hold them off. No, Aaron, go. Kessler pushed Aaron forward and started stumbling toward the enemy. Need to get back to the crusade. Leave me and give me a chance to make my death mean something. Aaron paused. Then he saw his companion's eyes start to glaze with pain. He turned and started running. As he ran and through, he couldn't help but look back toward Kessler. The older Apostolicus seemed to gather his last remaining strength before charging lethargically to the enemy. With his gun in one hand and his grenade belt in the other, Kessler bellowed out hoarsely, "For the Almighty and the MIC!" The enemy closed with him, swords flashing. One of the apostates drove his sword into Kessler's chest, only to have Kessler shoot him in the face as he went down. The grenades fell, but that was exactly what Kessler had planned. Immediately, the grenades exploded, shrapnel spraying in all directions. The apostates fell, a few dead, most incapacitated, others only wounded. Aaron turned away and ran to the stairwell, gun sounding behind him. Feet feeling heavy, he took the steps forward as time, his enhanced legs propelling him toward the upper area of the prison. Finally, he emerged into the open air. Immediately, his stomach lurched when he saw a long metal bridge spanning the distance between the tower he was on and one of the curved metal fangs that surrounded the prison. On either side was empty air with nothing intervening besides sharp rocks at the ground hundreds of feet below him. Oh, crap, he whispered, rubbing his mouth. This makes things difficult. Where do you think you're going? Aaron's heart sank further as the tall, brutish shape walked out onto the bridge. Inward curving horns, framing a face he could only describe as a maw of metallic fangs below a blank, glowing red line. The monster stepped forward, its claws gripping onto the flat metal surface of the bridge. It was smaller than the creature Kessler had fought, but it was at least an inch taller than Aaron. It seemed to be covered in black and red writhing metal. In one hand, it held a large power axe, its edge seeming to fluctuate between red and black. The other had a long sword that crackled and popped with demonic fire. Swallowing, Aaron slid his sidearm into his belt, then took his sword in both hands. Then he drove the sword into the door. With a hissing sound, the strange sword, or its blade, melted the locking mechanism and sealed it. Now, if the guards wanted to come after him, they'd have to break through the door. And that's the end of the chapter.
What the hell was your mission like if this is what inspires it?
I just made it. Well, admittedly, this is supposed to be pre my mission, but I was just like, you know what? Let's just mix my mission with Warhammer 40K.
Okay, I guess so.
Yeah. And
on another note, where does one purchase for themselves a Hershey blade? That sounds delicious.
So it's actually funny. A Hershey. I actually took the idea from. There's this guy in my mission. His name is Brother Hershey. He's the ward mission leader for one of the congregations or wards in Topeka, and if he likes you, he'll let you take one of his $150 ties that he doesn't wear anymore. And so I was just like, all right. Why not change it from ties to highly well-crafted weapons? Where you just put your hand in and you pull a sword out that's DNA coded to you. So yeah, there's kind of lots of little things. So I was just like, yeah, let's just do that. That one's interesting because that means that Ned would actually have a better claim than Robert. And I imagine that Rhaegar would likely marry Lyanna rather than Elia. He would just have to wait a while longer due to the fact that she has dragon blood. There could always be a slight difference, but yeah, that's my thought. Sorry to get to you after I read, but yeah.
Do one where Wex is Azor Ahai.
Wex is Azor Ahai.
From Wex's point of view.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the dialogue.
I was there's a scene a bit early on where they say if we don't do this we're dead meat. Dead meat. That it sounds a bit. It did break my immersion for a bit. Is there a local expression that they could use in place of that?
They also use open sesame, which implies that they know the 1001 Nights.
Well, technically, this is actually future Earth. That's kind of the idea of this, is that this is in the far-flung future, not really like a secondary universe.
Oh, okay.
So, I guess we could, but my thought was dead meat kind of is it's kind of innocuous, but I didn't consider that.
I remember the first sentence saying a little weird. I don't remember what it was anymore. Something about trying not to be suspicious or something. I can't remember what it was anymore. But
I changed that. Thank you. Yeah, I noticed that.
Could be a little bit. Yeah, a little bit of.
Yeah, I was making periodic. Yeah, I was making some slight improvements partway through, and so I'm like, ooh. I also probably need to edit some of Aaron's dialogue so it's not as repetitive. It's one thing I need to do.
Fair enough.
So now kind of we've had the death of the Obi-Wan character. Now Aaron has to kind of go on his own. Question that I had was, does Kessler make a good enough impression that his death is a pretty sad thing when it happens?
Yeah.
I think so.
The poor chap didn't get very much screen time.
Yeah.
The poor chap, but he did make an impression within the short time he was allowed to exist.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's good. I just want to make sure, since it doesn't work if he's not like really a likable person who ends up making a good impression, and that way he can kind of pass the torch. Like Aaron you can kind of keep going with kind of some sympathy with her, Mr. Aaron.
I hated his guts. I laughed when he died.
Yeah, you didn't like his Spartan wit?
It was the green liquid that got me. I was like, oh my god, this guy is disgusting.
Yeah. What POV is my story from? It's from Aaron's. So basically, it's my own original work where I basically just took my. I just extrapolated some basic story from my LDS proselyting mission. Though this is before I came to the mission. This is at the very start of the Kansas Wichita mission, maybe a little bit before, where I just extrapolated from. It's my own original work, but it's from a kind of kid who's just barely starting out his mission experience, and he's just trying to figure things, trying to escape from a prison complex.
I'm fairly sure I met that demon in real life.
Like in a dark alley or something.
Yeah, or maybe in a bank.
Oh dear, that would make sense. Any other feedback? Feedback before we close?
I think that's it for me.
All right, cool.
How old is
Well,
Aaron?
19.
Oh wow, he's so young.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. Third person. Yeah, I like third person. I don't really do like first person writing very much.
Yeah, I mostly do third person too because I tend to a kind of a detached, ironic style at times. In order to do that, you kind of have to do third person.
Yeah, third person crew.
Mm-hmm. I think the only time I could possibly do first person is if I mixed it in with third person POV chapters, similar to how the Bartimaeus trilogy does things.
Yeah, and Outlander also does that.
Really? I don't know that. Okay. Alrighty, cool. Well, thank you all for coming. Appreciate you guys. I got to record a quick commentary on a less kind of shorter episode, and then I can release that in a few days, and then I'll come back to stream probably tomorrow, but we'll see. Alrighty, boys. See you later. Bye.
See you
Oh, yeah.